Hello everybody and welcome to the first ever episode of TrueTalk. This is the video series where I get a little bit more personal with you guys. I start to talk about my own personal experiences, what I've been through, and just to let you guys know that, just to tell you some stories about my life and what I've been through. And so far, I am only 18, so I've still got a long way to go, but I think it would just be quite nice just to share these things with you. So that's what True Talk is all about, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. Okay, so as you can see by the title of this video, today I'm going to be talking to you guys about anxiety. Anxiety is, for me, I think anxiety is something that affects everybody differently, because everyone who is affected, it affects them differently, because if you think about it, we've all got different minds, we're all unique in that way. So anxiety affects us all in different ways because it's about the mind. So I don't know whether you guys will be able to relate to what I'm going to talk about in this video, but if you can in any way, then that will just make me feel so much better. If you have any comments, just comment down below and just let me know what you guys think about my experience, your own experiences, people you know, or yourself, or anything you want to say. Just put it down in the comments. Just as a disclaimer before I start, I just want to say that this is something that has affected me very, very recently. So it is still something that I am getting over. Whether you can ever get over it, I don't know really. But it is something that I'm still experiencing, and it is something that does affect me, quite often, still. So it is hard to talk about, and also if you guys have been through anxiety, you'll probably know that my version, my experiences, probably they aren't the worst that you could go through. I know that compared to other people, I've got it quite easy, but everyone's different, and we can't sort of judge people on whether they've had it really, really bad or easier, because it's still anxiety at the end of the day, and it still affects people, no matter what. So whether you've had it for 5 minutes or 5 years, it doesn't matter. You can still talk about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Okay, I'm just thinking about how to start this. I've just started university, which obviously that is quite a big thing in itself for anybody. It's a big step in life, it's a brand new place, you don't know anyone, so that in itself is stressful anyway. My anxiety began about 3 months ago. I was doing my college A-levels, and it was just before one of my exams. I was stood outside and I started to get this very, very panicky feeling, but I didn't think it was anxiety at that moment, because I'd never experienced anxiety before, so I didn't know that it was anxiety. I just thought I was panicky, like anyone else would be before an exam. Anyway, I got in there and I sat down, and you know how the invigilators have to go through like all the policies and things like that? Throughout that, I was just sat there, and my throat felt so tight, and I felt like I was going to be sick, and it was such a weird experience. My mouth went really, really dry. I got very, very nervous. I was sweating. It was horrible. And it was sort of building, and I thought, I'm gonna have to get out of here. I'm gonna have to get out of this exam. But obviously, you know, in an exam you can't just get up and run out, you know. So I did feel very, very trapped. It was probably one of the worst couple of minutes in my entire life, because it did only last about a couple of minutes. Anyway, but I feel with anxiety, for me, I get to a point and it gets so, there's so much pressure. It's like a pressure cooker. It's like it gets so much pressure, and then you sort of get over that peak, and then it just sort of goes down. And that's how I felt in that exam. It was just for a couple of minutes, and it was building, and it was awful. It was horrible. All the worst things you can think of. Feeling sick, like you're going to just be sick everywhere. Mouth dry, sweating, heart's pumping, you're spinning, you know, it's horrible. Your head's spinning everywhere. And then when we actually got to actually writing, it went completely. It just, I didn't leave the room. I just kept drinking water, and yeah, that was my first experience with anxiety. It was really weird. I'd never experienced it before, and I never really looked back after that. I never really thought about it then, because it was summer, and I just put it down to the anxiety of the exam, the pressure of the exam, you know, and the stress of the exam. I didn't think it was going to be a continuing issue, and it wasn't through the summer. But since starting university about a month ago, I started to get these feelings again. And it was so strange, because I'd not felt them since that exam about 3 or 4 months ago. And basically, say I was walking into a class at university, and it was nothing about people there or anything. That was all fine. I've had a great welcome to the university, and that's been absolutely fantastic. But I think really it was more about the pressure of the room, perhaps. I'm not really sure about what it is still. Anyway, walk into this classroom, I'd sit down, and sort of for the first 10 minutes I'd be alright, but then I'd start to slowly feel like my throat was closing, like there was something stuck in my throat, like I was going to be sick. It was sort of from here upwards where all the tension was. I'd get headache, throat feels like it's closing, I'm going to be sick everywhere, and I just had these images of me just going bleh, like everywhere, and that's horrible, you know. And I would sweat, my palms would sweat, and it would just be awful. And again, it sort of gradually gets worse and worse, and then you get to the peak, and then it goes down, and then you're all right for the rest of the class. But it's just about seeing it through beyond that peak point. Anyway, so this had been going on for about a week and a half, and this was about 3 weeks ago. So this is all happening, like, this is like really still raw for me to talk about it. Anyway, so this happened about over a week and a half. This kept on happening during my classes, and it was beginning to sort of, and I felt that if the room was hot, it would make it worse as well. So I'd tend to sort of sit near the door as well, just so then it wasn't anything to do with like claustrophobia and things like that, which I've never suffered from before, which is still really weird to me. There was no pattern to it really. I just feel it, you know, and I couldn't really get away from it. Anyway, the turning point for me was when I was on the bus one day, because I commute into university, and I was sat on the bus and I started feeling these feelings again, of anxiety. And I thought, oh my God, so it's not even in the class anymore. This is starting to affect every part of my life, So got on the bus, and I've got on the bus a million times. So it was nothing to do with that. I got on the bus and I started feeling all these things again, and it was awful. But this time it was about 10 times worse than anything I'd had in the classroom. And I just had to get off that bus. It was gradually getting worse and worse and worse, and I knew it would, but I knew it would get to its peak because I've obviously dealt with it, in the week. And I thought, right, it's just going to get to its peak and then it's going to be absolutely fine. But it was just getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and I thought, well, when's it gonna peak? When is it gonna finish? Where is this peak? And it felt to me like I was on this bus, and it just felt to me like there wasn't going to be a peak, and it was just going to end up in me just being sick everywhere, or I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but I just couldn't. This peak that I was looking for just wasn't coming this time. It was 10 times worse than anything I'd experienced. Anyway, I stood up, I pressed the button, and I got straight off the bus at the next bus stop. And as soon as I stepped foot off that bus, it all went. The peak, it went absolutely fine. I took the rest of the day off, but I felt so bad because I missed like 3 lessons, and it was like really, really bad. I felt so bad because I'd let that beat me. I got off that bus. You know what I mean? I'd let it beat me in that way, really. And that was horrible. That feeling of failure was horrible, that I'd let it beat me. So I said to myself when I was walking back home, because I'd taken the day off, I just said to myself, this has to stop now. And I'm going to have to cut it right now before it spreads any more and destroys any more of my life, okay? And this was only over the course of about 2 weeks, but I decided this. At that point, I said, right, stop it now. That's it. I'm going to sort out this issue. So the first thing I did was I told my mum. So that was the first thing. And then second, I went to the doctors. I made the doctor's appointment that day. And I went to go and speak to him. I'm going to tell you what he said in a little bit later on. And then thirdly, I told one of my lecturers at the university just to let them know what was happening. And I think it was the idea of just telling people that made it a lot better. And just really just cutting it like that and just really facing it head on can help so much. And I know a lot of people say that, and it is actually so true. You really need to just face it. There is no point in trying to hide from this issue, because it's always going to be there, and it's always going to get worse. It's not going to get any... Yeah, making me feel like I couldn't breathe. And so I went to the doctors, and he gave me 5 different... He made sure that there was nothing medical, because I had a blood test, so that was the first thing he did. Second thing, he said that it is psychological and you could go to a counsellor, so that's number 2. These are all the different areas that maybe you could help, that could help you guys. So counsellor, if that is something you want to go down. Number 3, he gave me some really good relaxation exercises, if you can feel it coming on. Breathe in, breathe out, and all that sort of stuff. You can get it all online if you need that. I will put a link in the bar below for anybody who is suffering from it right now. And there's so many good relaxation exercises, and they do help. Number 3. Number 4, he said also what about swimming? Is that something that you enjoy? And I'd not really thought about that. And I said, yeah, I would try it, because, you know, if anything, to help it. And he said, usually that can help, doing something sporty, not overly too much, but something quite relaxing, like swimming, or you know, like aerobics or something like that, you know, something where that relaxes you and soothes you. So I've started to go swimming, and I feel that's really helped. And number 5, he said tablets, but then I said, but because all the tension's here, I probably won't be able to swallow tablets. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was in this panic attack or an anxiety attack, I'm not going to want to take tablets because my throat's too anxious to take tablets. It's closed off too much to take tablets. In my mind it is anyway. So tablets wouldn't really help me, but if they would help you, then that's absolutely fantastic. You know, if they would help anybody else, you know, go to your doctor straight away and get those. They'll just calm you down and make you feel comfortable again, steady, stable again. So those are the 5 different things that my doctor said to do. I feel that just telling people helped a lot. Definitely swimming as well. I've not been to the counsellor yet. I don't know whether I want to, but I don't know. I've not really decided whether I want to do that, because it has got better. This was about a week and a half ago when I went to the doctors, and since then I've not felt anxious. Even in anxious situations where it's happened previously, it's not happened. So maybe it's one of the different things that I've done, like swimming or relaxation exercises or just telling people. Maybe that just sort of triggered it for me, and that was, and you know, it's got better. So that was my experience with anxiety. It's very, very short. I know a lot of people have been suffering from this for years. I've heard stories of people suffering from it for like 10 years. I've been suffering from it for about a month at the most, you know. I can't imagine going through life for 10 years suffering with that amount of anxiety. That must be the worst thing in the world. And I wouldn't really know what to say to someone in that position, because all I could say would be, and they've probably tried it already, but you know, tell people, get as much help as you can, all the different options, try all the different options. If you've not thought, if that is you and you have been suffering from anxiety for quite a long time, try swimming. I've really, really enjoyed it. And now I'm really into swimming now, not just because of my exercise, because I really enjoy that side of it, to get exercise, but also for my mind as well. It makes me feel very, very comfortable, very soothing, and just the opposite of anxious. I'm not even thinking about being anxious in the pool. So if you can get to a swimming pool and just get maybe like an hour a week in, or something like that, or every day if you can, you know, I would definitely recommend doing swimming, because I just feel like it's really helped me. But yeah, if you are one of the people who has just started somewhere like university or school, and you're feeling the same way that I did about a month ago, and you're still suffering from it, first of all, acknowledge that you have an issue there. Acknowledge. I had to acknowledge it when I got off the bus, because at that point it was beginning to impact upon my life in a way that I couldn't go to university that day. Do you know what I mean? So it's I had to face it. So number one, face the issue. You know, it's there, just face it and just admit that you have an issue with anxiety sometimes, depending on how you feel about it, on your different circumstances. Face it. Number two, tell people. You know, telling people about it really, really helped me. If you've not got anyone to tell about it, by the way, tell me. Tell me in the comments. If you guys tell me some of your situation, you know, specifically, you know, I can maybe give you a little bit of advice. Email me if you don't want it to be a public comment. You can find my email on my YouTube channel in the About section. Just email me and I'll get back to you. But if you are happy for other people to see it, comment down below and just tell us your story. And if I don't comment back, somebody else will with a reply. I mean, I will try, but obviously might not be able to get to everybody, but I will try to get to as many people, but I'm sure other people will be viewing it and they'll want to try and help and as many people as they can, so they might reply. I just want to start a conversation about this. A lot of other YouTubers have done this as well, and I think that's great. You know, we need to have these discussions about things, and we need to acknowledge that anxiety is a huge issue for a lot of people, and it's one that isn't really talked about a lot, especially in youth. So yeah, face the issue, talk about it, go to your doctor. He's one of the best people to go to because he can give you a range of options, you know, professional advice, you know, he's the person to go to. So, and then number four, depending on your type of anxiety, because everyone's different, for me it was just about riding through it, just really pushing through it, no matter how hard it was, how sick I felt, how awful I felt. It was just about getting to the peak point and then it would be fine, and then I'd feel great and I'd actually feel like I triumphed over it. If it got past the peak point, I'd feel like I've triumphed over it, and that would feel great and it would make me more confident. And obviously then I wouldn't feel as much anxiousness because I've gotten over it, I've triumphed over it. And then number five, I would just say really, and I know this is a hard one, but try not to think about it too much. You know, fill your life with so much that you don't even have time to think about anxiety. You don't even have time to think about it. You are so busy, you don't even have time to think about it. And I think that's a really positive thing. If you are so busy, you know, you don't even have time to think about it. It's you know, you don't even have time to think about it. It's not even an issue because you don't have time to think about it. Because I think talking about it and thinking about it are two different things. I felt that when I got anxious, it was because I'd been thinking about getting anxious. Basically I was anxious about getting anxious, so that is just not a good way to go because you're in a circle then of anxiousness. So those are the 5 different things that I would say would possibly help people. If they don't, I'm sorry, try anything you can think of, but I would say swimming, doctor, definitely go and just face the issue. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Obviously this is quite a raw topic for me. It is something that has recently happened in my own personal life, so but that's what TrueTalk is all about. It's about telling you guys things that I've been through personally and just telling you a story about how I've been through things and giving you guys advice. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, dislike. Let me know why if you don't like it. Tell me how to improve the video maybe in the comments. Also in the comments, please let me know if you've experienced anxiety, and just if you're comfortable with it, tell your story, because your story might help somebody else. And again, please be nice to each other down there in the comments, please. You know, this channel is about discussing. It's a little bit about arguing, you know, a little bit, but we want really to have a discussion, and we want to have an intelligent discussion where we don't have to insult or swear at people. So just remember my comment policy on that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do have any other suggestions, you know, about other videos to do or anything like that, please tell me in the comments. Next week I'm going to be covering a topic that again is close to my heart, you know, but that's why I love TrueTalk, and I hope you guys love TrueTalk. So I will see you for my next video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.